Wait, why am I whispering? I'm so excited to tell you all about this. Do you know that Elite Zone is featuring an online competition for e-learning pupils to pick the eloquent e-learning pupils of the year? We will have 5 winners announced on our social media, Facebook platform, one from each class, year 1 to year 5. Our judges will be focusing on these criteria: appropriate intonation, diction, stress, weak form, linking R, intrusive R, and glottal stop. The theoretical format of this lesson, which is supposed to be its exercise, is also your way into the contest. Get a video coverage of yourself whilst reading submit to this number on the screen. So, now I'll be explaining all the criteria to this competition, one after the other. To start with, intonation. Intonation simply means the rise and fall tone applied to words in a sentence or statement. That's the meaning of intonation. So the rise and fall tone you apply will determine the rhythm, and the rhythm also determines the intonation. So when you talk and you notice this up and down thing, that is called intonation. In other words, we could say intonation is the level of pitch we attain when making a sentence. Okay, the next one is diction. Diction basically defined as the choice and use of words, especially with regard to effective communication or the effectiveness and degree of clarity of word choice and expression. So in another word, you could just say diction is the good manner of speech, the way you pronounce. When you pronounce your words appropriately, that's the meaning of diction. Good. Alright, after that, the next criteria should be the stress. Good. Stress means emphasis applied on words during conversation or when reading. So emphasis means when you make the word sounds loud whilst reading, or you make another one sound low too. The loud part of your stress is called stress. And when you make the word sounds low, that one is called distress. But the one that sounds loud is the stress word. So emphasis applied on a word in a sentence is known as stress. In other words, you could say stress is the volume, force, or clarity with which some words in a sentence are said. Okay, let's proceed. After stress, we have weak form. Weak form simply means that. So, before we move further, let me just give quick examples of the criteria which I've explained, starting with intonation. Examples of intonation. We have types of intonation, falling intonation, rising intonation. So I'll be giving you one example from each. So starting with rising intonation, you can have any words like, are you okay? Are you okay? If you listen to that now, you see it's going So that's an example of intonation, rising intonation precisely. Now falling intonation could be, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. If you want to stress home, it will be I'm coming home. If you want to say it normally, it should be I'm coming home, I'm coming home. That's falling intonation. Alright, after that I explained diction. Okay. Example of diction, you could have any words like past tense of see. You say soul, soul. not sir. That is not proper. So that's not a good diction. But when you say soul, that is a good diction. Okay, another example could be pineapple. Pineapple, not pineapple. Pineapple. The appropriate diction should be pineapple. Okay, that's it. Now let's move to stress. Example of stress. You can have it in words like what are you doing there? What are you doing there? From the first one, I said, what are you doing there? So, which word sounds loud from that first one? So we have what? Words and there. Stress from the first one. What are you doing there? The second one. What are you doing there? So from the second one, which word sounds louder? So which means what? What and what? And you is the stress word from the second question. So that's the difference between, that is a good example of stress. Now let's continue. Let's move to weak form now. Weak form simply means the replacement of vowels with schwa sound in a distressed or unstressed word. That's a simple definition of weak form. Okay, so let me give you more examples in words like some words will have strong form and weak form, and some other words they don't have a weak form, they just have a strong form. But let's talk about words with strong form and weak form. A good example is this word. How do you pronounce that word? Good. I hope you don't say off with a sound. No, it's with a sound. Of. So the strong form of the word is of. Weak form of. You know your schwa sounds of. So strong form of. Weak form of. Another word we could pick M-U-S-T. How do you pronounce that word? I hope you don't say must, not all. It's up. Must. So the strong form of that word is must. Weak form must. And let's move to the next criteria now. Okay, so those are examples of weak form and weak form. Now let's move to the next criteria. I think the next criteria should be linking. Good. Linking. This simply means that when you pronounce a word, the last sound you have in that word, the last sound, if the next word after, if you have a word, and the next word after the word starts with a vowel, so the first one you have, the last sound of that one, you're linking to the next word. If the next word is starting with a what? Good. Vowel. Let's take, for example, these three words. Or, of, us. Note, I said of, and us. I used their strong form because I'm just pronouncing. That's the difference. You use strong form when you're pronouncing the word alone. But whenever you want to speak, or whenever you want to read, you use weak form. That's when you use weak form. So now, to link this word together, I would say all of us. Say that with me. Say all of us. All of us were there at his party yesterday. So that's linking. Good. Let's proceed now. So I hope you take note of that. When I linked, I used weak form. When I was pronouncing the words alone, I used strong form. Okay. The next criteria should be linking R. Linked R. This simply means that a word that you have ended with R, and the R from that word is linked to the next word if the next word is started with a vowel. Okay, that is the meaning and how to use linking R. So we can have linking R in this word because in this phrase, mother and daughter. So with the mother we have a what? We have it's ended with okay, good. And the next word it starts with a vowel, and, good. So we can link those together. Remember what I explained about linking R. Okay, so the R. Now watch something. If I read this, I would say mother and daughter. Mother and daughter. Note I said mother and, not mother and. So I linked with linking R. Try that. Try saying mother and daughter. Good. Now another thing that happened there was I used weak form of and, which is n, or and. You can add it. You might also pronounce it without adding the d, but with the schwa replacing the a, because it's weak form. You want to say it, you want to read it out. Mother and daughter. That's it. Let's move to the next one. Okay, intrusive linking now. Intrusive linking. Intrusive R. This means that words that you have and you want to add you want to intrude it with the R. The R is not in the spelling. You want to intrude it there. That's the meaning of intrusive R. For example, look at this word. Let's say you have saw and is. Saw, is. You can intrude it with R. Saw it. I saw it with him, not quite long. I saw it with him, not quite long. Note I said saw it, good, not saw it. That's an example of intrusive R. Okay. Also, you can have it in words like star, star, and of, star of, star of. That's another one. Now I want you to take note of this. Sounds that you can intrude R to the non-high vowels, which are the schwa, ear, R, and O. Sound with me here. The schwa, ear, R, and O. Those non-high vowels are the ones that you can intrude R to. When you have them, when a word is ending with those sounds, and the next word after those sounds is started with a vowel, then you can intrude. That's it. So let's move to the last one, which is the glossal stop. Glossal stop simply means when you want to pronounce words with letter T, those kind of words, monosyllabic words, words with one syllable. We want to pronounce such words that ends with T, and you make the sound of the T in that word, you replace it with this sudden sound at your glottis, which is this sound. When you squeeze your glottis, all of a sudden, that sound you get, which is that's the sound. It's also the same sound from this word, that first sound you made, which is that's the sound of the glottis, or the glottal stop rather, which is represented by this symbol. Okay, good. Examples of words that we can have glottal stop in that, no, what, pop, what, spot, those words, you can glottalize them. You can also glottalize polysyllabic words, but it's advisable to start with monosyllabic words because that way you can get to learn step by step. For some polysyllabic word that you can glottalize could be grateful, grateful, not grateful, grateful, and absolutely, absolutely, not absolutely, absolutely. Okay, now let's move to today's lesson, which is intonation and diction practice. So what happens is that we'll read together. First I will read and then you can play back this lesson to practice your own reading. When it is sin versus grace, grace wins hands down. A life that goes on and on and on, world without end. Here it is in a nutshell. When we were controlled by our real nature, there is sin, there is violence everywhere, with one murder after another. God destroys sin's control over us by giving His Son as a sacrifice for our sins. They were all adulterous, always aflame with lust. They were like an oven that is kept hot even while the bakery still kneaded the dough. They killed the kings one after another when no one cries out to me for help. My people of Israel mingle with godless foreigners, picking up their evil ways. Now they have become as worthless as a half-baked cake. They do not cry out to me with sincere hearts. Instead, they sit on their couches and wail. They cut themselves, begging foreign gods for crops and prosperity. I trained them and made them strong. They looked everywhere except to heaven, to the Most High. They were like crooked bow that always misses its target. Their leaders will be killed by their enemies because of their insolence toward me. Then the people of Egypt will laugh at them. Oh Lord, why do you reject me? Why do you turn your face away from me? Friends laugh through all kinds of weather and families stick together in all kinds of trouble. The person who quotes sin marries trouble, builds a wall, invites a burglar. The crooked heart will not prosper, the twisted tongue tumbles into trouble. It is painful to be the parent of a fool. There is no joy for the father of a rebel. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength. Now, before I pick the last sentence, I want to explain some things there. Whilst I was reading, I hope you're following me. You will notice I'm making some pause on some words with T, that is the glottis stop, and also one thing which I didn't explain earlier, which is the effect of your punctuation mark on the word before the punctuation mark. If you have your comma before the punctuation mark, then you stress that word before it. If you have semicolon, you give it a secondary stress. Semicolon, secondary stress. For example, trouble, normal spelling, normal pronunciation, trouble. With semicolon, you say trouble, trouble. The last syllable will take secondary stress. That's the effect of that punctuation on that. Okay, so now I'll take the last sentence, and after that, you can Practice, 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 and then don't forget to do your exercise and also submit it. And don't forget that it's also your way, it's also your portal into the competition. So the last sentence. Wisdom is in the sight of him who has understanding, but the rise of a fool are on the ends of the earth. I'll take that again. Wisdom is in the sight of him who has, pardon me. Wisdom is in the sight of him who has understanding, but the rise of a fool are on the ends of the earth. Thanks so much for doing this class. And I'll see you in the next class.